All right, Vic Carucci, now that it's official, how does Aaron Rodgers' trade to the Jets change the dynamic in the AFC East?
Very simply, he gives the Jets a legitimate quarterback, something they didn't have last season, something they haven't had in a long time. And Aaron Rodgers, yes, the age is there, but also the ability. And he is an iconic, great quarterback, even at the advanced years. Dealt with a hand injury last year, appears to be healed from that. He makes them a legitimate contending football team. They got a lot of weapons around them offensively, and their defense is definitely of contender status.
Their defense solved the riddle of the Buffalo passing game last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They had the antidote to what Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and that passing game did, and kept them in check, and did it not once but twice. So you add Rodgers to the mix, it elevates this Jets team. I'm not saying they necessarily win this division, but I think the Bills are going to have to, at the very least, be looking over their collective shoulder.
So on Monday, the teams agreed to the deal, but really everyone knew this was coming eventually, and the draft was the natural leverage point with the picks involved for this to happen. So the timing surprises no one. But regardless, as the Bills prepare again, total of 6 picks in this year's draft, 27th overall, as we discuss this. We'll see if they move in either direction, maybe down, more likely. But does this change the dynamic of who they pick, particularly up high on Thursday night?
I mean, I would have to think that now that they officially know that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet and that the Jets' offense likely gets significantly better, that you have to find ways to deal with that. And the best way, of course, is to have something in the way of a pass rush, a much better back end defensively. Things that have failed this team, especially in the postseason, I think they've got to beef up that. I think they have to approach the season with a mindset that they've got to deal with yet another top-level quarterback in the AFC, which is loaded with top-level quarterbacks.
And you talk about this draft. Everyone talks about how 2024 is really more loaded. Maybe at the top of it. This particular draft, maybe in the top, 20 picks or so, maybe in that first round, it's not as dynamic or talent rich. The depth really is as later, players that would be selected later in the draft. How does that impact what Buffalo might do in a year where they really, with 6 total picks, they have to really hit on at least 3 of them?
Well, they've got to start hitting a lot better than they have recently. I think being at 27, though, gives them some comfort level in a draft like this, because the talent level is supposedly watered down, according to most analysts, and that really you're really starting in the second round, in the latter part of the first round in terms of talent rating. But when you're at 27, and if you don't feel you're drafting a player worthy of that grade, then you should be looking to move down. And I think Brandon Beane was telling the truth when he said around pick 20 or so, they're going to figure out what their decision would be. Stay put and get a guy that they think will be there that can help them, or move down, accumulate picks, and enhance your chances of finding guys that will help them.
And so acknowledging all of those variables, right? What's your sense of, as we get to 27 on Thursday night, and the idea of a receiver and the idea of a running back it's talked about? I don't think they're going there in the first round, but what's Vic Carucci's sense of where they're going to go ultimately when they pull the trigger at 27, if they do?
Yeah, the position to me that feels like it has the most legitimate first-round talent, and again, this is only based on staying put at 27, is defensive end, is another pass rusher. And again, I know eyes are going to roll. The people are going to groan, saying, haven't they done enough to try to boost this? But when you don't know where things are going to be with Von Miller from his health coming back, when you don't know what the future is with some of those other players up front there and how much better they're going to be, I would not hate the idea if they have a legitimate first-round grade on an edge guy of some sort. Go for it. Even a defensive tackle wouldn't bother me there.
For what it's worth, most of the experts that we've talked to on Sports Talk Live Buffalo and in other instances feel like when you're looking at the bottom portion of that first round in 27, where Buffalo is, that edge rusher is probably the most talent-rich position that would correspond to a pick like that. So certainly something to keep in mind that may factor into Brandon Beane's and the staff's thinking on Thursday night. For Vic Carucci, I'm out of Benigni, Channel 2 Sports.